Though you sound less saddened to talk about it. In what ways have you coped to help get you through this traumatic event?
Well, it was definitely traumatic. I mean, I had a really hard time for a few months, especially in school. My best friend Britt, her mom had killed herself 2 years before, so I had her to talk to and confide in because she knew exactly what I was going through, and she was there for me. My boyfriend and his family were there for me a lot too. I continued to spend the night there a lot more often because, I mean, my mom was at my sister-in-law's and she wanted to go help raise my nephews, and I didn't want to be by myself, even though my dad was home. I had some really good guidance counselors, though. I was lucky. I mean, this all happened around the time I was supposed to be applying for college, right in the beginning of October, middle of October. And I was just so down that I didn't want to do anything, and I missed a lot of school, and they helped keep me on track in my classes, and they helped me so much with applications. I really barely did them myself. And as time went by, I just knew I had to pick up the pieces because life still goes on even though he's not around anymore.
You had a tough time dealing with a loss, and that's really expected. I'm glad that you could get together to move on, because that's really hard process for most people. How were your relationships with your family members affected by this?
Well, I think things were pretty different with everyone. I mean, my oldest brother Carl, he was in Iraq and he missed the funeral by a day, so it hit him so hard. But I think it actually brought us closer because he's 18 years older than I am, and he was 2 years older than Chris, so it really affected him. But the only reason we were never close is because of the distance, not the age distance, just he's in the military, so he's always been halfway across the country or halfway across the world, and we just, I don't know, I guess he realized that he didn't get to see Chris as much, and now that he's gone, he regrets it and wants to be closer to me and Eric now. And as far as my dad goes, he was shut off even more than before, and he's always been quiet, but after this he just couldn't deal with it, and I still don't think that he has. I never really saw him much because of his work hours, but when I did, he more or less kept to himself.
What about you and your mom? You've mentioned a few times that you were separated for a few years.
Well, I think once she left, her focus was mostly on the boys. I understood it, and at the time I loved it because I felt like I could get away with whatever I wanted to because I was a teenager and I had all that freedom. I did miss her, and I felt a little disconnected from her, but it is what it is.
Can you go into more detail about that?
I don't know. I guess I just got so used to it that I didn't think it was a big deal that she wasn't around. I was independent and enjoyed not having people around to tell me what to do, but I also missed having her there whenever I wanted and whenever I needed her. After a while, though, when she finally started to cope with the loss, she got into the spiritual way of dealing with it, and it's literally driving my family insane. She obsesses over him with pictures and candles and books and poems and everything you can think of, and she just tries to get my brothers and I involved in it with her. She doesn't really get it that we've had the time to cope and deal with the loss, and that we're okay now, 4 years later, and she still gets mad when we turn her down on her offers to go to church or candlelight vigils.
Since you've been able to cope, maybe it would be a good idea for you to try and get your mom to get on the same page and help her.
I can't. She's just too much with it.
What do you mean by that?
She just takes it too far. Out of nowhere, she became this huge Jesus freak, and she tries to push it on us, I guess because she enjoys it so much. Whenever I go home, there's a new shrine built to my brother somewhere in the house. I understand she lost her child, and she'll never get over it, but it's she forgets she has other kids.
By saying that she forgets she has other kids, I'm sensing that maybe you feel pushed aside?
A little. I mean, it's just she's so wrapped up in everyone remembering him that she forgets about the real world and doesn't remember her kids who are still around. My mom has always been a picture freak. The walls are covered in pictures, but now it's not pictures of the whole family. It's just pictures of Chris.
What do you mean by the real world? How does it make you feel?
Just that she doesn't move on. It's she's stuck, and even though she's still there for me all the time now, whenever I need her, she's always taking care of me with school and everything, but it's just she's still so preoccupied with remembering him.
It sounds like you are trying to forget him by turning your mom away.
No, no, not at all. Like, I don't want to forget him, and I won't ever forget him. I don't know, I just don't want to think about him consciously 24/7. I always think of him every day. He's always in the back of my mind. I just don't want to focus on him not being here anymore.
What is the biggest step you think you've taken with coping with his loss? You seem to be dealing with it very well now.
Oh, God, I don't know.
What have you done that you think could help your parents deal with it?
Let me think. Well, after freshman year, my first year at Stockton, like, my mom's friend, the one who's going to try to hook me up with that job, she told us about this mental health awareness thing that her company was doing. And there was going to be, like, all these guest speakers and therapists talking to kids with, like, depression and other mental illnesses about how to deal with it and, like, what to do and what not to do. And she asked me if I would want to tell the kids my story about how my brother's suicide affected my family and I, to get through to them about what their decisions could do to their families. And I decided to do it because I wrote a narrative about it in my Rhet and Comp class. So I had already, like, written it all out and had it all down, and I could just read it to them.
How did this help you?
Well, I brought my best friend Britt with me because she was going to speak as well, but it was so emotional for her that she couldn't really talk about it. But she was there for me when I read mine, and writing it out in the first place really helped. And all my friends on my floor freshman year read it, and I let some family members read it too, and it helped them see how everything happened through my eyes. Like, reading it out loud to a bunch of strangers was definitely, like, a really crazy experience, but I don't regret it. I got emotional during, and it didn't help that I hate public speaking, but I got through it, and so many people came up to me at the end telling me how sorry they were, and they were proud of me for sharing my story and how my words really hit home to them. And one girl told me I should keep speaking, but I never did.
Maybe this could be a good long-term coping method for you. How do you feel about continuing with speaking?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. I really hate public speaking.
You say you hate it, but though you got through it, that in that part of your time, in your life, it was hard, and you still got through talking about it, and it felt so good afterwards.
Yeah, I know, but something about getting in front of a room full of people with all eyes on me, it's just not something I want to do. Maybe I could see myself doing it again. I don't know. I know it's something my dad would never do. Maybe talking to someone uninvolved would be a good step for him, though.
Your mom was with you when you spoke, right? Did she also speak as well?
I can't remember. I'm sure she had a few things to say.
How would you feel about doing something like this again with your mom, maybe letting her take the lead? This way, maybe it can be a compromise on getting involved with her coping process and maybe show her point as well.
I would consider it. I mean, she was going to group meetings for a while, but she stopped since she doesn't drive, and she couldn't make the meetings once a month and stopped going.
Since you will be home for winter break, maybe you could attend a meeting with your mom. Do you think these meetings could help you as well?
Well, in high school, my counselors always suggested I go to one, but I never got around to it. I mean, talking to someone who I don't know is going through something similar to me couldn't be too much different than being in therapy with you now.
I think this would be a good step to take to help your mom cope as well as pleasing her by being involved in her coping methods, that you are okay with it as well. How do you expect things to go over break as you spend more time with both your parents?
Well, I'm hoping things go well. I mean, anything's better than how things were in the summer, but I did speak to him at the birthday party about their relationship to get a sense of what I was going to be in for. But there's constant hostility, and he kind of opened up to me about it, and I'm not sure if being more open with me now because he wants to talk about it or because I'm older and he's more comfortable, but I recommended therapy to him, and he said he would go.
Would you want to include your parents in your session and continue with family therapy, or would you rather prefer they kept it separate?
Well, it's kind of one of my dad's conditions. I said that you two should go to therapy because neither one of you want to back down or step up, and he said that he would go if my brother and I went too. I don't think it would hurt if we all went, but I mentioned it to my brother, and he didn't seem really up for it.
It has always been hard trying to get someone to come to therapy, especially if it's not by their choice, but But I suggest if your brother does not want to come, just come as the three of you. Eventually your brother may see the improvements being made and will decide to join you as well.
Yeah, I think he would give in and come. He just really sees all the issues and between my mom and dad, and he doesn't really get it that we're all involved and we're all infected, and even though they're the ones that acting out the most, but I guess he'll come around to the idea.
Well, today I'm glad we got to talk about your feelings about your brother's passing. I can see that this was a big event that led to a lot of changes between everyone in your family. I am glad to see how well you have coped with it and how far you've come. As I said earlier, maybe you can try to help your mom and help her cope the way you did so you can be involved with her, but on your terms. And whenever you would like to set up another appointment to bring your parents, I'd be happy to also have them.
Thanks, I really appreciate it, and I'll look into different things to work with my mom, and I'll get back to you on the session with my parents.
Okay, I look forward to hearing from you.